Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Martin with The Contoured Chemist. All right guys, today is Get Ready With Me day. So here I'm coming at you sans makeup, but we also are gonna be trying something different today and we're answering questions Q&A style. While I do my makeup a different way, I'm gonna show you using both 3D and Demi together, which I know I've told you is a no-no, but I will explain why and show you how. Probably not what you think. So if you want to check it out and see all of the questions that you guys asked over on Instagram answered as well, we're just gonna do it all in this Get Ready With Me today. Keep watching, be sure to like and subscribe, and as always, thank you for being here. Friends, let's get started. Let me try to do this without it taking forever. This is my goal. This is my goal. I'm just gonna put it out there. First thing, you guys had a lot of questions. So the ones that I felt like I could answer and incorporate as we are chatting through our makeup today are the ones I wrote down. If yours did not get answered, DM me directly because it's something I have already done in great detail that I can send you the link for, but I'm going to talk about some of those as well. Okay, guys, so here is what we're attempting to do today. Okay, I know it's summertime. I feel like a lot of y'all jumped on the bandwagon and got Demi to start with and to try. Maybe some people are already like obsessed. Some people are still a little overwhelmed or not getting, you know, the complete look that they're going for. I'm going to show you guys a little bit differently today how you can use them together in the right possible way. So we're going to do a very natural look. I feel like Demi is like almost, you can't even tell you're wearing makeup unless you apply it really heavily, and that's kind of not the whole concept of Demi, since you can't see it on your skin. So I'm gonna show you how you can kind of get the best of both worlds and how to use them together properly. Okay, so let's just get right on into it. We've got a lot of questions, and I'm just gonna kind of talk through them as I go because as I get ready. My first question, my favorite eye primer. Okay, you guys probably are sick of hearing me say this because I show it in every video, but thank me later. It is by Elizabeth Mott and you can get it on Amazon. I will link everything I talk about in the description box below. So if you can't find it, I also really love Urban Decay's line. Primer Potion is really good. This is just half the price. So if you guys know me at all, I'm a little frugal. So this on my eyes works just as well, but eye primers are one of those things you got to try. I don't really recommend skimping and using a really cheap brand. Usually they don't work very well at all. But again, everybody's eyes are different. So trying to find the holy grail. This so far has been mine because the price point's good and it works. So I had a lot of skincare questions as well. So as I'm barefaced, show you guys some things as I'm going. So I was asked my favorite SPF moisturizer. I don't use a separate moisturizer. I use Glow Screen if you want the glow to your skin. Super Goop. I use the Super Goop. I can't remember the name now off the top of my head, but their new serum SPF. Love that as well. And Elta MD are my top 3 favorites. If you need a moisturizer on top of that, I would recommend maybe, because I feel like both the Supergoop and Elta MD have a lot of skincare ingredients in it already. For my normal skin, it's hydrating enough. I don't need an additional one. In the winter, if I am feeling extra dry though, I will just kind of use my SPF and this silicone-free priming moisturizer. Just remember, we want to keep as many silicones as possible out of our skincare so we don't get slippage with our creams. So I already have this on. I was asked how I keep my skin so clear. Seint's skincare. I have skincare videos that I will link below because I got a lot of skincare questions about specific products that I use in my routine. And if you haven't seen that, you might not realize I use a lot on top of Seint's Tres Leches, which I've used for years, and I'll never stop using that core system. But I am always incorporating actives into my skincare regimen, depending on what my skin needs at the moment. So I'll link those videos below with specific product favorites and how to get started on a regimen. I was asked about dry skin packaging, but milk cream is literally my holy grail. I'll never use another cream. If you have dry skin, this, I promise, I can't even imagine that this wouldn't save your skin. It's that good. Correct and incorrect way to use a tinkle. Okay, if you don't know a tinkle razor, I do have a specific video showing you exactly how to use this. So go check that out. Always downward, always pulling the skin taut. Never wanna go up. You never wanna like this, okay? There is a slight like guard on it, but these are still sharp. They can still remove your eyebrows. You gotta be careful with this. There are lots of tips and tricks on how specifically to do it in that video. Okay, a couple more real quick. Best affordable body care, I would say Neutrogena Hydro Boost line. Love that. It's like a gel moisturizer formulation. It's amazing. All of it is so good. And then how to get yourself tan or even. Mitt. Use a mousse, use a mitt, circular motions. I have specific videos on how to apply it over on IGTV and my highlight bubbles. So if you're not following me over on Instagram, go check that out. Here's a segue for my giveaway. So if you do not follow me on Instagram, you might not realize every month I do a giveaway based on just following along, liking and commenting and engaging on my posts and my stories. And this month will be my 4-year anniversary with Seint. And I had to give away a good one because it's been a long journey to get here, right? So this month I am giving away $500 in credit. You also get 4 items at half off, and you can use it on both 3D or Demi or a combination of the two, however you want, whatever you want. So comment down below and I will incorporate this video into picking a winner as well. I was asked, how do I make sure everybody is entered? And I'm not that good. I do not write down thousands and thousands of names. I use a computer generated program in order to do it for me. So it is completely random, but you are able to enter by Facebook, Instagram, and then this video here on YouTube. But go follow me over on Instagram, and so that way you will be entered every single month. It is different every month depending on my mood. So they're always good, I promise. All right, let's start with application because I'm already talking too much. Okay, so here's the thing with using both 3D foundation and Demi. If you are new to Demi, I know a lot of people were saying, I want to see a hybrid Demi 3D or Demi for dummies and more on toning with Demi. So this is this is just a few of my colors. The big kahuna of an artist kit. There's a lot of colors, and yes, it looks like the rainbow. It's a little bit difficult to learn. It is all using color science and the color wheel and using complementary, meaning opposite of the color wheel, to filter whatever we want. But the amazing thing about Demi is that when you use it properly, the distraction from your face will disappear and you will see no makeup texture, which in makeup world has never been done before because every makeup on the market will show the texture of the makeup on your face. It's just a nature of makeup. But this, you use so little, they're so pigmented, and you're using not beige, like the color of your skin, you're using literally primary colors on your face. It's magical, let me just tell you. It is magical, and if you haven't experienced it, I challenge you just to get the blemish kit because it's like the first time you make a blemish disappear, you're just like, how is that even possible? I don't even see, can't even see, because you guys know how it is when you're like, any makeup, you're trying to cover a blemish, especially if it has texture to it. What does it do? It just makes the texture look worse. You might correct the color issue, but then you have a texture issue that you can't get to go away. This solves that. So when it was first introduced, so that was the number one question. Can you use this to color correct? Which this isn't technically color correction, okay? It's color solving. It's different. And the reason why is because say I have a blemish and I correct it with this color, okay? And I get it to disappear. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna put on my foundation and I'm gonna put it over that. Okay, first of all, if you touch that area, you're gonna move this color that you just placed because it is such a precision application that you'll move it and then suddenly there goes your no texture. You're putting makeup texture. Even our creams have texture to them because you're applying enough in order for it to actually correct and brighten and even your skin tone, right? So you're still gonna see that texture of the 3D over it, and suddenly you're not getting the properties of this anymore because you are layering. So when it comes to Demi and 3D, you cannot put Demi down and then put 3D on top, or it defeats the purpose of getting no texture from this. Does that make sense? I know that is a very common question, but I know a lot of my customers started when Demi came out, and they started with this just to color correct, say, blemishes and under eyes and hyperpigmentation, and then they used their contours and lip and cheeks, and that with the 3D system. And I will say that is perfectly fine, and that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna show you how to get the best of both worlds. Since this system, you can tone and get the same kind of look, but toning, learning the color science and learning what colors are in your face can be difficult, and some people, it takes a lot longer to learn. I will say it also really depends on your face. So I've shown you guys Demi before, but I will be honest, I have a difficult face because I have so many freckles and hyperpigmentation and dark spots, and I have a lot of contrast in my skin with my nose being darker and all of the things. So I'm gonna show you how I do it. If I want the best of both worlds, that's not gonna take me as long to get the look I want. I hope that makes sense. All right, guys, so we're gonna start with 3D foundation, okay? And we're gonna pick up the 3D brushes, all right? I had some questions over brushes and how many brushes you need. It is completely personal preference. I have a video I can link below of how you can do your full face with every single one of these face brushes. Just pick one, and I literally did them all so you can see. Usually I recommend the 3D brush if you only want one brush, but that is not my first pick, I'll be honest. My very first pick would be using, oh my gosh, where did that brush just go? The blush bronzer brush with the detail hack. I feel like with this combination, you can do everything from highlight to brightening to contouring, detail work, bronzer, lip and cheek. You can do your full face, even eyes, with these two brushes. So this would be my top pick, and this is my pick for everyone getting started with 3D foundation. I was asked what gives the most coverage. By far the buff brush, but like everything, you gotta, if you're brand new, I don't recommend starting with this. This is a very dense brush, picks up a lot of product, and most people are too heavy-handed with it when they start. So if you are a veteran though, this brush will give you the most coverage. All right, so with this look, I'm going for ultra natural, okay? Which means my favorite brush for the opposite of full coverage is the blend brush, okay? Okay, so since we're doing very natural hybrid, we're gonna use this. And the reason why is, do you see how loose bristles this is? This will pick up the smallest amount of product. And so for this method, you don't want Like this is not a full coverage method. If you're wanting a full coverage, I don't recommend Demi whatsoever. No, like not in the least. It's not ever gonna give you that full coverage look because it looks like you're not wearing anything, okay? So if you want full coverage, you gotta go with 3D. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start in the same way I always start. I'm gonna color correct, okay? And the reason why is because I still, even if I'm going very natural, I want all day wear, okay? So look at my nose, look at my redness, okay? I've got hyperpigmentation through here, which I can correct with Demi, but for me, because I just have so many freckles on my face, it can be a little bit more time consuming. So this is gonna be a quicker method. So I'm still gonna use a color corrector. I'm just gonna use very little of it. I'm gonna use the small end where I need the most. So I'm gonna go with Mango, which is pretty much the color of my nose right now, which is darker. And I'm gonna just kind of press it on here, okay? Now, if Mango gives you texture, you can avoid this area and you can just go in with something like, ooh, which one is it? So the reason why I have redness through here is because I have broken capillaries, okay? This is magical for broken capillaries. Y01 or OY1, try those if you have Demi and you have broken capillaries. For me, I am good with just putting a little bit of Mango on there because I also need to do the sides of my nose. And Demi does take much longer because I have to pinpoint every single dark spot. So since we're doing quicker application, I'm gonna match those darkest points, which is pretty much my nose is all hyperpigmentation, broken capillaries, which is why it's dark and red. Okay, good. It's kind of a little bit more matching. It's a small end, and I'm just gonna do you see how I've got kind of redness through this area? Just enough to match the darkest points. It didn't really change the color, just enough to kind of match there. I'm gonna do the same thing kind of around this entire area, very lightly, because I am gonna use Demi on my under eyes where I have texture. But down here, I'm just gonna kind of do a really light wash of that. Do you see how that already kind of just faded that away? Okay, didn't completely make it disappear, but it took away the contrast a little bit. Okay, same thing just on the tip of my chin. I do have some blemishes down here, which I will tackle here in a bit. Okay, and then just a little bit right here on my forehead where I have a little bit of redness. Okay, so I'm kind of using Mango to kind of just tone by kind of just taking just the smallest amount just to kind of bring that redness down a little bit, okay? This is summer. I want a little of a bronzy look. We're gonna stick with the kind of toning area. So I did that step first so that I could see where I was the most red, what really needed some of that Mango. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add bronzer, okay? So if you're doing Demi and you are toning with a more saturated color, you're gonna use very, very little. That does take a little bit of practice. With 3D, you can kind of use Bella in the same way to kind of just add that warmth to your face. It's not going to tone and change the color, but it's still gonna give you that inner glow, if that makes sense. So my favorite way to use it is Bella with a little bit of that glow illuminator next to it. I'm just gonna kind of, mine is kind of dry, so I'm just gonna be a little bit generous with it. And then I'm gonna just kind of hit where I want that bronzer. You can tell it just kind of added that warmth right there. So I was asked for tips and tricks with textured skin. If you have a lot of textured skin, I don't recommend adding a lot of glow to your face. I would stick with more matte. I wouldn't use a glow screen or this glow illuminator in this way. And the reason why is because you can tell when your skin reflects light, okay, which you're adding light reflecting particles with this kind of technique, you're gonna be able to see the texture of your skin more enhanced. It's just kind of the way your skin will reflect light. You'll be able to see texture, pores, all of those things more so, okay? So if that is an issue with you, you can try more of like a mattifying primer like Honest Beauty, something like that. If you have dry textured skin, I would stick with something more like this, which is not really gonna give you that really glowy look, but it's still gonna add that moisture. With texture on the face and 3D, your main thing is that you don't wanna go too light, because going too light with a highlight increases the look of texture right away. Make sure you are matching your darkest tones first, whether that is using some kind of color correcting base, something like that. So that way when you layer those lighter shades, it's not just going to emphasize any texture you have on your face. That I'd say is the number one thing. Is a little different with our creams versus other makeup. So now that we've kind of toned, I probably need to, I feel like my neck is looking lighter. Bring it down your neck. Always and forever. I'm a Bella bronzer girl. Okay, so that was Bella plus glow. Now I'm gonna go in with my contour. So for 3D foundation, I feel like, I don't know what it is. When I'm contouring in the summer, I pull out my indigo. So I don't know if you guys have ever tried indigo. People are scared of it because it looks so dark, but it gives the bronziest look because it's got more of those red undertones. So I sometimes kind of mix and match between the two. I'll show you how I kind of use both. So since my forehead usually needs a little bit more depth, I'm gonna use indigo there, okay? And with Demi and Sculpt, the premise is the same, but usually people need multiple sculpts because it depends on where they're using it, what's their skin looking like underneath, because those sculpts tone at the same time. And it is harder to get a more dramatic looking contour with Demi, because you usually need to use one to tone the area and then a deeper, more shadow looking one like the violets or the blues to add that shadow, right? So sometimes people were like, okay, I'm just gonna stick with my 3D contour, which I get. Otherwise, they're used in about the same way in the same area. Just 3D contours do give more coverage in those areas. Okay, so I usually add that, and I feel like if it looks too red, I'll use a little bit of Astoria to kind of tone it down, like so. It'll die down once my skin is like, whoa, stop pushing on me, right? Okay, cheek time. So I'm gonna go ahead and use indigo. Okay, at an angle. I'm using the detail brush, my Ride or Die. I'm gonna start up at the top of the ear, okay? And I love the 3D here because it, again, gives more coverage in that area. And you can kind of layer until you get the look you want. Okay, you see how warm indigo is on me by itself, right? So now I'm gonna take Astoria, just on the edge of my brush, and I'm gonna take that and I keep it right on that edge so that way I can really pinpoint where it goes, which is the hollow You see the depth that that added right there? So I can still get the kind of bronzy look I want using indigo, but since indigo still pulls a little too warm on me, I can add that depth. Okay, now I haven't used my highlight yet, so I can still kind of blend that in a little bit once it kind of tones down, once my face is used to me touching it. All right, I'm just gonna repeat the same thing on the other side. I feel like I got a little bit too much there. It's driving me crazy today. Doesn't want to stay back. Okay. I'm gonna dip into both for my neck. Again, because that indigo will add a little bit of that bronzy look. I'll be honest, I wish there was a color in between Astoria and indigo that was a mixture of both. I think it would be my perfection. Okay, so we're here, and you can tell I've added some dimension, but I really feel like my skin is still very uneven, right? So here's where I'm gonna kind of even it out a little bit. Here's the process that if I was to go in with Demi now, I would still have to pinpoint a lot. So I just want to kind of, and this is because my skin tone is got a lot of contrast because I have a lot of freckles. If you don't have as much contrast as me, you might be able to completely skip this step or just do it in certain areas. So I'm gonna pick up the blend brush and I'm barely gonna use any, and I'm going to go over those areas that I just kind of want to blur. Just want, not much, just a little bit. Now I'm gonna use a little bit to kind of blend out where my contour starts and stops, I'll be honest, because I need to blend right there. Okay, but do you see how kind of that just, the difference between just adding a little bit of that highlight? Oh my gosh, what is going on with my hair? It just will not stay clipped back today. Okay, so this brush is really good to kind of blend if you need a little bit of okay, so because I have like, I don't know if you guys can tell, I have hyperpigmentation, but then I got some like spots on my face where I don't have any. Again, this evens it out without me having to pinpoint every one of those dark spots. But then it evens out my skin tone in a matter of seconds. Okay, so this, I'm still gonna have really light coverage, but now I'm a little bit more even. Same thing goes with the chin. Okay, now I did color correct right on the end, so I'm just gonna kind of pat right there, and I'm just gonna kind of blend so you can't see anything. Now I still got some blemishes right there, see? Okay, I'm not even gonna attempt to cover those. I'll get there. Okay, same thing, forehead. I'm just kind of doing a nice, really thin wash just to kind of tone that down because it was looking still a little bit too warm. Kind of evens that out. Make sure you're blending, you know, got a nice blend going with, you don't want to contour stripe on your forehead. I gotta fix what my hair will stay now. All right, I forgot lip conditioner. Put that on while we're at it. Or if you haven't tried, I'm actually really obsessed with the Balm and Gloss in the Demi side because it's coconut. If you don't like coconut, I'm sorry, but I love coconut. So it's fitting for summer. Okay, so You saw I didn't really put anything on my nose. This just has mango on it, okay? But you can tell from looking, the sides are still darker. So I'm gonna use my main shade and I'm gonna kind of just like press that on right there. I'm avoiding this area where it could collect so that I'm not getting texture there. Yet close up, I still have no texture. So my goal with this look is to, and you guys might be like, don't fall over when I tell you this, but my goal is to not use my perfector because if you don't put too much down, you don't have any excess to take off. So if you are brand new to this makeup, you might still want to use it, but you do not want to use this after Demi. When you put Demi down, it'll pull it off. You don't really want to touch. Once you got Demi there and it's like fully disappearing, just don't touch it. Step away, leave it alone. Okay, so we're almost done with the 3D side. I'm going to keep using this, and I'll be honest, I prefer my 3D eyeshadows. I love playing with eyeshadow colors. Even for natural looks, I'm an eyeshadow girl. So I also get the best base using my 3D foundation. Takes me much less time to just kind of boop, there we go. Now I'm color corrected. Boop, there I'm even. And then I'll just use a little bit of powder and I should be good for my eyeshadow base. Okay, here we go. We're gonna powder. There you go. I'm pretty even now. I have not done blush. I feel like I don't need an illuminator whatsoever after this glow in my bronzer. It's like, woo, disco ball. Okay, if you don't like that much shine, just press a little bit of powder on. But I am gonna go ahead and we're gonna switch to the Demi side now. So the reason I'm doing Demi next is because I wanna go ahead and I feel like my skin looks pretty good. I just have a few spots, and I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of makeup on them. Like you can tell, I don't have any makeup on that spot, like very light wash, right? So I'm gonna use my Demi to make them disappear, okay? And you wanna do this after because again, can't put 3D over it, it'll move it, it'll show texture. All right, so that one right there to me, it's a little dark, got a little red. I'd say it's more on the purple side. I'm gonna try the YG1. Definitely have too much because I can see it. I usually use different mirror so that I can see up close. Okay, still a little bit of darkness, so we're gonna use, I think it probably needed the Y01 instead. It's got a little bit too much blue. Okay, Gonzo. No texture. Okay, so this one down here isn't quite as dark. I'm gonna go straight for the Y01 though, this time. Do you guys see how little? Like, I don't even think you can imagine how very little. Like, I kind of tapped in. Sorry, my brush is a little dirty. It's still all on the tip of my brush, but it already disappeared and I don't need any more product. Okay, so I'm telling you, it's magical with blemishes. That's my favorite part. I have a one right here, and it's hard to see with the blinding glare of my glow illuminator. It's definitely more more towards the red, but it's not angry. It doesn't look like a bright red angry zit, so I don't need straight green. Again, I'm gonna try a little bit of the yellow green. Usually it's around the border is more inflamed, like flared, and then usually in the center it kind of gets darker as it starts healing. So sometimes I just use the I think the key with Demi is that you don't realize how very, very tiny of amount you need, because I'm just telling you, when I first started, I like dabbed it on like I'm used to with 3D foundation, and I'm like, no colors work because I could see the makeup on my skin. But it's almost like you apply it to where you can't see it going on. That's the money. That's where the magic happens. Okay, I'm gonna use a little bit of orange in the center. Oh my gosh, depends on the light or the mirror. Okay, it's gone. This method makes me realize I have far less, like I see, like, I don't know, I barely see anything to correct. I still got this spot in my under eyes, but I don't see like a bunch of spots staring at me like I normally do. And this is coming from somebody that usually likes medium to full coverage. A lot of days I do like natural makeup, but I feel like this to me looks very natural. So, you know, it's a personal preference. I got one little red spot right there. I keep saying red. It's not really red. If it was red, you'd look like a stop sign. Okay, so it had a little bit of purple in it. Yellow, green. Let's go ahead. We're gonna stick with the spot brush and we're gonna tackle my dark spot, which I feel like is not real obvious in this lighting, again, because of the glare. But I will show you guys. I feel like I don't need very many colors anymore. This 03, which is one of the newest shades, we got 03, 05, and 07, more oranges. Oranges are used when you have like darkness in your skin. So I have a lot of excess blue in my skin because I have a lot of hyperpigmentation. You might be like, okay, Sarah, isn't hyperpigmentation supposed to be green? And it is to a certain level of darkness, and then it's excess blue because it's too dark. It's got green and blue, and if you get too much blue, you need more oranges and less of those red oranges. So I use a lot of orange in my skin because of how dark some of my dark spots are. And this spot, you guys, has always been tricky for me, and I could get it covered, but I was always so picky because I felt like sometimes it looked too light. And in walked 03. And I'm telling you, I had so many people when this came out, and people were like, wow, that 03 is a game changer. So I think it's funny because it looks like Frenchie to me. It looks like Magic Mango. It's in that kind of orange looking family. Like this is orange 01, which doesn't look orange. But this I can see it. So again, though, it's nothing like Mango or Frenchie. You use so very little. So when I mean little, let me wipe off my brush because I had already touched it. Like this is my 03. It doesn't even look like I've touched it. Can you see it? Maybe a little bit. You want to start there. You can always add more, okay? So I'm gonna look at that spot. I'm gonna go to the darkest point because my entire spot doesn't need 03. It's much larger than a sesame seed. So that means it's a lot of different colors. But I've got darker points within it. If you really look closely at your hyperpigmentation, you'll be able to pick out the darker points within even the smallest of spots. And you'll see if you've been looking at Demi on Instagram lately, they've been using an even smaller brush than this. So you can go to any old craft store, find an art brush and use something very small. Okay, it makes this one look big. If you want more precision, if you have smaller areas, they're working on new brushes so that you have more of that control if you need it. Sorry guys, I'm not answering questions because I'm concentrating. Okay, once I feel like I've gotten all the darkest points, then I'll move on to just 01 or R01. Okay, so I've been touching that area. You guys know my skin. A lot of people's skin will kind of bring blood to the surface as we touch an area for too long. So I usually kind of like step back a second, let it kind of rest, do my under eyes, and then I'll come back to that if I didn't really touch all of those darker points yet. So let's go to under eyes. Again, I like the spot brush and I love the bright brush. So these two. Okay, I'm gonna use 03 again and I'm gonna hit the inner corners with the most blue, the darkest points. Okay, again, this is a good technique if you are like me and your under eyes are your problem area with the most texture, because we're using Demi there, which is not going to increase the look of texture. If you've tried color correcting and powder and all those things under your eyes with 3D foundation and you just can't get it to work, you might try this. So it does take a little bit of practice. I will say, I feel like Demi under the eyes is the hardest area to master. And it's because we've always treated the under eyes as this big area and we just kind of swiped color all over it. And you don't look at all the different colors that actually make up your under eye. Like here I might have some purple and blue. And we've always just kind of swiped one color, one and done. So I still have some, so I didn't really put anything directly under my under eye area. So I just kind of went right to this spot, which I feel like is such a cluster of hyperpigmentation for me, which is normal. It's like melasma pools right there because you have a lot of arteries under the eyes. So as we age, it's typical that you get a lot of hyperpigmentation there. So for me, it's really time consuming to try to correct all of that. And I feel like I can get a much more quick and even out look with 3D there. And then I can just look at those darkest points and get a tiny bit more coverage if needed. Like so, and I'm happy with it. I got some irritation, surprise, surprise, on one eye, which is a little bit red, purple, so I'm gonna use the Y01. There we go. I like using this brush because it doesn't pick up as much. It's easier to kind of that delicate under eye area. I always use the spot brush for those colors you can really see that need, and then I kind of use this one. I keep saying like a wash, but I don't know how else to describe it. A really thin veil. Okay, So towards the corner of my eye, I've got some hyperpigmentation, so I'm gonna use the R01 since it's a little bit more green. Okay, I did already correct my lids. So we're just hitting under eyes here. Okay, any spots that contribute to a darker under eye, you can hit those as well. All right, friends, there you go. I 3D'd and then Demi'd my face, Demi'd my under eyes. I think I got pretty natural coverage. I'm good with that. So now spot, and I feel like it's still covered well. So I'm not gonna touch it. I'm just gonna leave it alone. Let's keep going, shall we? This is getting long enough. So we've demified, there you go. So if you're having trouble with Demi, just like focus on maybe one area. Blemishes, under eyes, try this technique. Maybe it'll work for you and you can just kind of use it in particular areas and not have to do your full face on the daily. All right, I'm gonna do my brows real quick while I answer some questions. So let's see if I can find my line brush. Oh my gosh, there's a fly in here. I'm gonna lose it. I hate flies. It's about that time of the year, guys. Oh, anyway. Okay, line brush, trust eyeshadow. I'm gonna fill these bad boys in. What other questions have I not answered? Oh, this guy. Somebody asked me, how do I clean the shadow switcher? So I just use this to get off my excess. Okay, this shadow switcher is pretty much just, it's this foam and it doesn't clean your brushes per se. It removes excess color. So you can easily, in between shadow colors, switch colors. It's called the brush cleaning tile. To actually clean your brushes, you would need the brush cleaner. This actually disinfects and all the things and gets your brushes like white again. This does not. This just removes color. So I didn't know what I used this last, so I just took that off. In order to wash it, soap and water, I would say Dawn dish soap, which is what I use to do this. And then if you want to sanitize it, then spray it with, you know, isopropyl alcohol or the brush cleaner, which also sanitizes. So that's what I would do. All right, let's see if I can actually multitask and fill in my brows while I do more questions. Okay, so I got asked under eyes melasma coverage, redness, color correction, you know, if you have dark spots in your contour and then they show after you contour. Okay, so when it comes to hyperpigmentation, I feel like I've said this a lot. It is trial and error. It can take, first of all, it can take practice to learn how to use a color corrector properly. When it comes to color correction, there's no ways around it. You have to layer. So like if you're not doing Demi, something like that, I would have had to have put more mango here, which would have darkened that area, and then put my main shade to kind of bring it back down to matching my skin. And then if I don't get enough coverage, I'd have to repeat the process. Add more mango, more of my main shade, even a brightener shade over it if it's for some reason still pulling too dark than the rest of my skin. It all just depends on your overall skin tone. I would say your artist has got to tell you what colors to try. There are some contours that also can correct hyperpigmentation, but I will say it's not always my first option. It's more of like, okay, you've tried all the highlights and you still can't get good enough coverage, then when you've exhausted all other possibilities, you can try a contour. But I will say it's because hyperpigmentation and melasma can vary so much. So whereas I've tried every contour, I've used everything on this spot, and mango still gives me far better coverage than anything else. But if your hyperpigmentation is a different level of darkness, meaning it's darker or lighter or a different tone, maybe more ashy, you know, all of those things play into part of what actually corrects it best, because a corrector typically just needs to match that level of depth and darkness. Same thing goes with redness. If you're having issues with your redness being covered, more likely it's because you're using a shade too light on your redness. It has to match that depth, the depth of your redness. It has less to do with using a color that, you know, has green in it to counteract redness. Oftentimes and not, that is not the best option. So matching depth, that goes for hyperpigmentation and under eyes and redness, all the things, you match the depth first and then you bring it back to matching. I hope that made sense. I'm rambling now because I'm attempting to do my brows, which why am I spending so much time on this one brow? I don't know what I'm doing. That's why, because I'm trying to talk at the same time. Okay, so somebody asked, how do I adjust? I'm new to Seint. How do I adjust for wearing cream makeup in the heat of the summer? I just did a video on that on IGTV. Look up heat and humidity. It is there. Could there be lighter highlight shades coming? I'll be honest, we have not had any new highlight shades in years. I'm talking, I've been an artist for 4 years. I don't know if we've had any for the last 3 years. So it's possible. I wouldn't hold my breath. I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't know how much brighter you could possibly get than Moonlit or Linen without it being stark white. There's got to be a level of yellow in everything with skin tone. Can't just have white. It'll be pulled too chalky. Okay, do I prefer a powder or a cream illuminator? By far, I prefer a cream because it looks more natural. But if you like a blinding highlight, if you want the look of a wet looking highlight, like I feel like right now, I'm a little, I don't know if it was possible, I'm a little too glowy. You guys know I love my glowy skin. Gosh, what is going on with my brows today? Good enough. So I would say, yeah, I keep both in here at all times. I more often than not just use the perfume, but the cream kind of gives you that lit from within look. The powder is more like you got highlighter on. You can tell. All of our powder highlighters are much more glowy, much more higher glow factor. Let's see, should I put one on? I'll put on a little bit, even though I don't need it because I put that other one on. Ooh, okay. That was right over the Demi. I probably shouldn't have done that. Yeah, did you see that? I just pulled it off. Okay, so lesson learned. Don't use the perfector on Demi, which I already said that. And then I forgot and did it anyway. So give me a sec. So leave it, Sarah. Do some eyeshadow. So I already did my eyeshadow base with my favorite primer. Okay, here are the questions I got about eyeshadow. Top 3 favorite eyeshadows is what I was asked. This is really hard. I'm just saying. But if I had to say wear the same, this is how I took this question. If I had to wear the same 3 eyeshadows for the rest of my life, what 3 would I pick? And I'll say this would highly depend on if I could still use an illuminator, because I could kind of eliminate that highlight shade that I always use. You guys know me. And I could use my illuminator to highlight. But if I can't do that, I would say my top 3 favorite, I would say, can I pick 4? Sabrina is my favorite highlight shade. It's amazing. I will say I'm excited for those Advent shades to come because Eggnog, whatever the name will be, is even packs more of a punch than Sabrina. You guys are gonna love it. It's very similar to Sabrina, but I swear it's brighter. I swear. Okay, so then if I can't have 4, you guys know my other one would be Bubba. But Bubba to me isn't dark enough for like adding depth. So if I have to count Sabrina, I would go with Oak instead. That's because it's nice and neutral, it's cool, it will add depth, and I can use it both in the crease and in the outer corner. So I'd go with Oak. So I always love like a pop shade on the lid, something to kind of add a little bit more interest. I'd say if I had to pick my very favorite, I don't know if you guys can guess. I try not to wear it too much because I love it that much, but it is Bright Eyes. Bright Eyes is seriously, if you have hazel eyes, it will make your eyes appear more green, more gold. Like it makes my eyes pop. Maybe that's why it's called Bright Eyes. It's seriously, it is my favorite color if I had to pick one. And I know you guys probably thought that would be Bubba, but I love me some Bubba, but I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna use all 4 with Bubba and do an eye look real quick. So this is a very easy summer, not too crazy. I'd say just a natural, neutral, you guys know me, that's my fave, that's my ride or die. So we're gonna start with a little Bubba in the crease while I answer more questions. So I got this question and I don't know if it was a joke or a typo or if you seriously saw this somewhere, but holy moly. It says, how long do I nuke a 10 to get out all the product? So if you guys don't know, you can take our creams and when they start getting low, you can melt them down and then, you know, they'll get new again and they'll like even out and you get every last drop. But oh my gosh, guys, these are metal. Do not microwave them. Your microwave will spark and it could possibly blow up. So please don't nuke them. I don't know what, I really hope an artist did not show you how to do that. My favorite ways are to use either just put them on a baking sheet really low and slow and watch them because they can boil and just kind of turn on your oven to preheat and watch them. My favorite way is I have a glass top stove, so I put them on there. You can even use the flat top of your coffee maker, a candle warmer, coffee warmer, any of those. People have even used their hair straighteners. You just gotta be really careful with some tweezers. Don't spill it all. It's very sad when you spill it. So do not nuke your 10s, guys, but do get every last drop out. It's important to not waste that. So if you notice when I did my eyes earlier, I didn't correct along my lash line, and that's because I always add that depth back with shadow. So if you naturally are darker there, you don't need to correct it or filter it, just enhance it. Add some sculpt there actually, and kind of let it define your eye. Okay, let's do the other side. Guys, I'm coming to the conclusion. I am not very good at talking and doing this at the same time. I should have been like checking this off as I did them so that I can easily find which ones I haven't done. I was asked to share more about makeup ingredients. So if you do not know, I know I have a lot of videos on this channel, but I have a video very specifically on makeup ingredients. When I first started as an artist, I did a lot of research. Can't help it with my background. So if you don't know, I am a chemist. So I did a lot of research into ingredients and made some resources for you guys that you can even request. So I will try to link that video below. Otherwise, you can just search for ingredients on my channel and you'll see it pop up. So if that is something that interests you or you want to learn more about ingredients. I did it already. Somebody was asking for a summer color match. Absolutely. My color match questionnaire is always in the link below the video. It's in my IG bio link. I have it on my Facebook group, or email me. It's just sarah@thecontouredchemist.com, and I can always shoot you the link. I'd be happy to rematch you for your summer colors. So if your makeup is starting to not last all day, or look textured, or not blending, or not giving coverage, that means you've gotten darker. So get matched for summer so that you are good to go. Okay, so far I just have Bubba. For the summer, I literally could wear just this. Oh my gosh, guys. I just realized I never put blush on. What is wrong with me? This is what happens when I'm trying a different technique and I'm not used to it. Okay, we'll go back. We'll do that with lips last. All right. Next color, let's do, okay, my next question was, how do you make eyeshadow colors brighter? I love this question. There's 3 ways, well, maybe more. First of all, what brush are you using? Okay, a brush like this that does a wash, okay, that doesn't really press on pigmentation is always gonna give you more of a subdued shadow look. So if you want a color to be less dark, less bright, less shimmery, use a wash of color over the lid. For more pigmentation, more color payoff, look, all of those things, you want a brush that will press it on. So my 2 favorites are the multitasker and the flat end of the smudge brush. That way you can press that pigment on. They're more dense and they can really, they just give better color payoff. But always prime your eyes. You guys know me, I'm always telling you to always powder over your eyeshadow primer because you don't get a good blend. And that blend is mainly because of the crease area. So if you just have primer up here, when you try to blend this out, it's gonna go on super patchy. But that doesn't mean you can't put more primer on the lid after you've done your hood area. So you can either use the normal primer you normally do. It'll give it a sticky base for the shadow to adhere to. You can also use a white primer, okay? So when you put color over something, so you're taking out all the pigment of your skin tone pretty much. So then when you lay a color over it, okay? So if you compare, I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell on my hand or not, but maybe I should have picked a color. Can you tell the difference? You see how more subdued it is over the skin tone? And then it looks straight up pink over the white. That's Tawanda, the one I use all the time. It looks very rose gold on the skin, right? And that's because your skin tone is playing a part in it, okay? Kind of that pink gets taken out. But over white, what? It's bright, it's pink. It looks more like it does in the 10. So if you want a color to look like it does on the 10, this is the NYX white primer. I recommend something like that. And you just kind of press it on just where you're gonna put the color, because again, it's gonna get more of a sticky base. Or same concept, this NYX glitter primer. Now, this is the only way to wear glitters, by the way, if you ever have worn a glitter before. But this literally will just put tackiness to your skin. So when you put an eyeshadow on over it, it just adheres and it doesn't go anywhere. That wasn't a good example either, but if you can tell the difference of where it is versus where it's not, I don't think it's picking it up, but this is a great way to. If you're using a glitter, I don't recommend using a glitter without it because it will kind of adhere that glitter and make sure it doesn't fall out all over your face. So the other way is to use something like Stay Spray or even water, wet your brush. A foiled look to your eyeshadows. A wet brush is going to give much more of that color payoff and pigmentation and make them look brighter. So let's try one, shall we? Let's try the white one. I haven't done this one in forever. It's gonna make this one probably look a lot more intense than a natural look, but you know. So I'm just gonna use the multitasker, and I'm just gonna put it on about 3/4 of the lid, because that's where, and I'm keeping it out of my crease because I don't put shimmery shadows in my crease. Might have to blend it a little bit. Let's even put some right here. Okay. Ooh, I look like I'm wearing white eyeshadow. That's a look. Okay, so then I'm gonna wipe off my brush. And then I'm gonna use the same brush to pack on Bright Eyes on the lid. Just where So I feel like for colored shadows, this really helps so much because, again, the skin color does not change the overall color of your eyeshadow. Now, since this one is a little bit more of a skin toned eyeshadow, I mean, it's in the like brown copper family, then it's not gonna be quite as bright, but that's okay. It's still gonna be super pigmented, show off that foiled look, and it's gonna have great longevity because you're giving it that extra adherence to the eye. Okay, there you go. There is Bright Eyes. And I'm gonna go ahead and brighten while I'm there. Since I got that white primer right here, I'm gonna use the small end of the eyeshadow brush and just press on Sabrina right there for that pop. Trying to avoid my lower eyes, since that's where I get texture. And then the highest point of the brow. Okay. Or if you have an illuminator, use your illuminator there. All right, so the last color is Oak. I'm gonna use the eyeshadow brush again, and I'm going, actually, no, I'm not. Nope, just the idea. I'm gonna use a smudge brush. I forgot this is my outer corner color. And I'm gonna kind of just deepen the outer area right there. And then into my crease a little bit, right, to kind of blend that Bright Eyes, because it's kind of, sometimes if you use like the primer like that, you can get kind of a harsh line of where you started and stopped. So I kind of want to blur those together, and I want to create a little bit more contrast. So do you see how, you know, Bright Eyes is kind of this warm coppery tone, Bubba is warm, okay? We're gonna add a little bit of that cool tone and a little bit darker for that depth inside the actual crease of the eye. So you can go as light or as dark as you want on that outer corner. Kind of blend it out. Now, if you're going like super natural with the Demi face, you might not want this much eyeshadow. You might want to not use the white and keep it to maybe just Bubba and Sabrina, which is one of my favorite go-to looks for the summer with a natural eye. Just kind of carve out your crease, brighten the inner corner. You're good to go. So I added a little bit of my brow color along the lash line with the line brush, just a touch, just because I felt like I was losing my lashes a little bit with all that coppery bling. So if you feel like you need to blend a little bit. There you go. All right, my last question about eyes was avoiding mascara smudges, okay? I have had this tube so long you can't even see what it's supposed to be called. But this is Maybelline Lash Discovery, and it's waterproof. All right, here's the thing you gotta know if you are wearing Seint 3D foundation or Demi. As long as you keep Demi really light under your eyes, you shouldn't have this problem. But there's 2 ways to avoid the smudges. Actually 3. Powder under your eyes, okay? I feel like even putting the eyeshadow under your eyes where your lower lashes are can kind of help because you're setting that area, but using a powder to set under your eyes, because again, this is cream makeup. If you are using any kind of mascara that is more of a wet formulation, it can transfer. So I usually recommend either setting under your eyes, using something waterproof, or using a mascara that isn't so creamy, that will actually kind of dry down to more of like a tube formulation. And by tube, I mean like Thrive Cosmetics has their kind of fiber lash mascara that you actually like, it encapsulates every lash, so that way when it won't like flake or smudge. It's transfer resistant, and when you remove it, it just, every little tube just pulls off your eyelashes. I hope that makes sense. Every time I say a tube mascara, people are like, what does that mean? They're all in tubes. But I love this one because it's got a tiny little brush. And you guys know me, I wear Lashify up top, but I always use this on my bottoms. And it doesn't flake, smudge, or transfer. All right, guys. I swear we're almost done. Let's do a little blush. I feel like I used enough bronzer that I don't really need to. I could totally get away with just this. So let's keep it pretty natural. What should we use? I'm so glowy. You guys might never hear me say this again, that I don't need more glow on my cheeks. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Frenchie, okay, which is this peachy one, but it's more of a matte shade. Okay, smile, go to the outside apples, and then right up along that contour line. You'll see how very natural this is on my skin tone. The color doesn't change a whole lot. Where I used Demi, be very careful. So I'm gonna kind of go around that. Okay, you can also add your blush first, and then I just feel like sometimes then it kind of will make like a white spot. It really depends on where your, area is, where your distraction is, and what you're trying to filter. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and line my lips with Astoria, the 3D contour. You can also use the Demi Sculpt for this, but since I didn't use Sculpt on my face, I'm going to just use what I used for my lips. So I do prefer the lip and cheek combos of 3D than Demi. Demi's amazing, but I feel like I'm like so used to mixing and matching and topping and using these that, they're still my favorite. Sorry, not sorry. I'm gonna use these on my lips as well. So let's go with, let's see, Summer Love, which I've been asked what is my absolute #1 favorite lip and cheek. It's Summer Love. It's like the perfect pinky nude on me. But I do love Tropicana as well. You guys know me, on my lips, I have to use more of that glossy formulation because I need the moisture. So Tropicana on top, Summer Love on bottom. Mix them together. I'm gonna add a little summer, no, this is Sunshine State, which is no longer available. But if you have it, one of you that got it before it was gone, it's more of a golden gloss. I would top everything. I would top that on top of everything if it was still available. Okay, so since it's summer, I'm gonna go ahead and use setting spray. So technically, you don't need to put setting spray over Demi because you use so very little. You also don't need to powder. But if you wanna take away a little bit of sheen, you totally can. So this will add the dewy glow, powder will take it away. But since the majority of my face was 3D, I went ahead and added a little bit. I'm gonna let that dry, and I am gonna just use the tiniest amount of powder because I feel like I'm feeling a little dewy in certain areas. I forgot to nose contour, and I just remembered. I forgot a lot of things. So I'm just gonna press that on right there because I'm so used to a setting powder under my eyes. I feel like when this area looks too glowy, I just feel off. Okay, give it a little bit more longevity. So I did not brighten. You guys are not used to me not brightening. So I brightened my under eyes naturally when I just kind of filtered them, but I didn't use any accent brightener. So just a little bit of color corrector and a main shade, my contour with 3D. All right, friends, that was so much longer than I even anticipated. And I totally failed you guys because I said I was going to keep it short or attempt to keep it short. I failed keeping it short, but I think I went over a lot of information. We tried a completely new way of applying our makeup, and I answered a whole heck of a lot of questions. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you got your question answered. It looks like I got most of them. I'm sorry if I missed yours. Just shoot it to me in the comments below or over on Instagram, and I'd be happy to get it answered. All right, I'll share with you guys the finished look. What do you guys think? Do you think you could handle just doing Demi over blemishes and maybe the under eyes and 3D on the rest? I feel like I still have a very natural look, well, besides the eyeshadow, but you know, gotta add a little fun in there. Didn't use an accent brightener, didn't use the perfector at all. Maybe that's why I'm a little extra shiny. Could be. So I hope that was helpful. If you need a color match for either Seint's 3D foundation or Demi Colour, I color match for both. I'm a certified artist for Demi, so I can help you out through that entire process as well. My color match request is in the link below the video, and I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions over this kind of process, just shoot it below. I'd be happy to help you out. And as always, thanks for watching. Love you guys. Bye.